Well, hello everyone, and happy holiday season. This is National Sales Director Tammy Crayk Smith, and I am so honored and so excited to share with you on my topic today for making your holidays the best you have ever had. I want to thank Kristen Sharp for this genius idea and for including all of us in it and sharing it with all of us. So I know that you are excited. You've got to be excited to be gearing up for the holidays. And so my topic today has to do with loading your date books with classes, holiday coffees, holiday stop and shops, sharing appointments, all of the things that you have a goal to capitalize on for the holidays. And if you know me, you know that I am all about the asks. ASKS. Yes. In our national area, in my personal unit, we don't use the word bookings very often because I believe we are never in control of the bookings we get or don't get. I know that sounds crazy, right? But it's true. You cannot control who says yes or no to actually getting a booking. But what you do have complete control over is the number of people you're willing to ask to book with you for whatever it is that you're booking for, right? The hardcore truth, you guys, about your date book right now, if you were to open your date book right now, digitally or in print, it's true that right now, the way it looks, and forever and ever, the way it's going to look, is going to be related to the number of people you ask to book with you, okay? So bottom line is this: we have or we have not. Again, we either have or have not in our Mary Kay business based on how many asks we're willing to do per day, per week, and per month, okay? And on that topic, I'm going to be sending Kristen, to include in all of the materials from this series, a video that I did. It's about a 20-minute video on the magic number. Your magic number. So look for that. But it's based on a story that Hal Elrod shared in one of his books that I've read called The Miracle Equation. The Miracle Equation. He tells a great story about how he became number one in Cutco, the popular knife kitchen tools company, how he became number one. And that's truly, you guys, where I came up with the concept that it's really about the number of people we're willing to ask. So anyway, let's talk about my bubble sheet. You may or may not be familiar with it, but we're going to talk about it today with a holiday twist, okay? So like I said, you may or may not have heard about my bubble sheet, and if you do know about it, you may or may not be using it, okay? I mean, if we're being honest. So you either do know about the bubble sheet or you don't know about the bubble sheet. I recommend that you use it once you do know about it and you're about to find out, okay? So especially you guys, the bubble sheet is important during this holiday season when our lives become extra busy with all kinds of fun things, but they become more busy, and there is a tendency to put your Mary Kay business on the back burner, which is the worst time of year to do that. If you think about it, oh my word, 80% of retail sales, if not more, are done in the retail industry. Seriously, during the holiday season. Yes, the 90 days between October 1st and December 31st. So that's the worst time to put your business on hold. But people do it because we can, right? Mary Kay is the first thing that can go on the back burner if we get lazy or if we just don't plan our schedule. So if you will schedule non-negotiable appointments with yourself this holiday season to do bubble sheets, you can make your holiday selling and team building soar, my friends. So let's talk about the who, what, why, and how of the bubble sheet. Who did I create the bubble sheet for, and how did I come up with the idea? Well, I attended a class taught by the #1 real estate agent in the state of Utah soon after I started my Mary Kay business. The only thing that he said separated him from all of the other real estate agents was the number of cold calls he made daily. I'll never forget it. It was almost 30 years ago, you guys. He would literally get to his office and do 3 hours worth of cold calls every morning, Monday through Saturday. Every morning, 3 hours worth of calls. I'm guessing that would be about an average of 30 or more calls an hour. And that would depend on how many people answered the phone, because, a conversation takes longer than just a message to leave. Or he would do probably close to 100 asks a day. And he was number one in the state of Utah. Okay, from that day forward, I knew that I had to be willing to do the asking on a much larger scale than I ever had been. So let's move on to why did I create the bubble sheet? Well, I was coaching some discouraged consultants and directors who would share with me that they were getting a lot of no's, okay? A lot of no's. And I would say to them, well, when you're saying a lot, how many no's are we talking about? Now, typically, the answer would be they had recently gotten between 5 and 8 no's, and they were discouraged, okay? So then I would ask them how many calls they had made. And you know what? They never knew. They had no idea. All they could remember, of course, was the negative of how many no's they got. They had no idea how many calls they'd made. So I would encourage them to keep track and of how many calls they made and how many yeses and no's they got, and call me back after they had gone and made at least 10. I would recommend 10. Okay. So then I started doing some research, and I started asking as I traveled around and did trainings. I asked hundreds, probably thousands really, of consultants and directors how many no's in a row they were willing to get before they stopped making calls for that particular day. The answer surprised me, you guys. The average consultant, now remember, I asked this question of hundreds, if not thousands, okay? So these are real statistics. Consultants' average was 3 to 5 no's in a row, and they were done. They just were done. They would go watch TV. They would go have ice cream. They would go do whatever and say, oh, I'll just start again tomorrow or whatever. So they were willing to get about 3 no's to 5 no's in a row. Sales directors, it was about 5 to 10 in a row, okay? So I want you to know, on a side note, most of those that I spoke with included the no answers and no replies as a no when they were counting no's. You follow me? Even if the person never replied to the voice message or, God forbid, text or email. You guys, texting and email does not get the same results. But even from calling, if that person didn't return their call, they counted it as a no. My friends, those are not no's. The only time you have a yes or a no is when you get an actual response of a yes or a no from the person you're calling. So do not count the no responses, okay? Okay, so what is the bubble sheet? Well, Kristen has one posted in the documents that support these calls, and it's also on the InTouch website. They put it under education, under booking, and then under documents, under booking, okay? Mary Kay Corporate calls the sheet the customer call sheet, but it's actually my original bubble sheet, okay? So don't let the title confuse you. So how does a bubble sheet work, you guys? What is it and how does it work? A bubble sheet is literally, on my bubble sheet that I created, there were 56 bubbles. I don't know how many there are on the company sheet. It doesn't really matter. The reason there were 56 on mine is because that's what fit on the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper when we created it. Okay, there's no science to it. But what it does is gives you a way to figure out what is your average number of yeses you get from doing a certain number of phone calls, all right? So that number is your magic number, because once you know how many calls you need to make, let's say if you make 10 calls, you get 1 no. And let's say you want to put 10 appointments on your books. Well, then if 1 out of 10 say yes, you know that you need to do 100 asks to get 10 yeses or 10 appointments booked. But most of you, once you get better at it, you get a really good script that you're comfortable with, you have confidence in it, you have energy, and you're upbeat about the asking, and most importantly, you have positive expectancy. When you get on that phone, you are expecting, you are visualizing the yeses, instead of getting on the phone going, oh my gosh, I'm sure everybody's going to say no. Oh my word. You guys, it's so much about the energy that you use. But once you get good at it, your averages are going to go way up, okay? But for points now, if you are not a master at the bubble sheet and you don't know your magic number, just plan on 1 out of 10 saying yes. And that's after you get the response back, okay? And once you have that average, you guys, you know exactly, I'm going to say it again, how many asks you need to make in order to put the number of bookings you want on your date book. So let's say you want to do 10 Stop and Shop appointments with your customers in October. And I hope that you do before they start doing shopping outside of you, okay? So you'd want to do 10 Stop and Shops. And if you get one Stop and Shop booked for every 10 people you ask, then you just need to ask 100 different people to do a Stop and Shop. And you can do Stop and Shops virtually. You can do Stop and Shops in person. And that's just one example. We also want to keep our date book full with regular classes all the way through, I think, December 15th. People are willing to hold classes. I know that to be true because I remember when Waverly Wismer, you guys, did a training for us that said she held appointments up until December 20th. I believe that was last holiday season. People were willing to get with her and do skincare and color classes, you guys, clear until December 20th. So don't make up a different story in your mind. But again, whatever you're booking for, if you know your averages, you are powerful because you know exactly what it's going to take to make that happen. And you no longer focus on the yeses and nos. You simply focus on the bubbles, filling in the bubbles, okay? But in order to find a true average for yourself, I would encourage you to complete 2 or 3 bubble sheets. And then once you have that average, go to work in making the calls that you need to fill the date book with what you want. It completely takes the guesswork and frustration out of filling your date book. That is the beauty of the bubble bath. I'm sorry, the bubble sheet. Now that I slipped and said bubble bath, I want to tell you right now, when you combine the bubble sheet, you guys, with a mental bath, and that's another one of my creations I don't have time for today, you have a bubble bath that will keep your brain and your attitude squeaky clean, okay? So here's the deal. What if you don't have enough leads to do a bubble sheet? Unless you are fairly new to Mary Kay, that, my friends, now hear my heart, is because it's become an affirmation for you to say things like, I don't have enough leads. I need to get out and get more leads, and on and on and on. Okay? That's truly, if you've been in Mary Kay for any length of time, become an affirmation. And we know what we think about and speak about, whether to ourselves or out loud, we bring about. So stop pretending not to know what to do if you are a seasoned consultant or director. You know exactly what to do because there's information literally everywhere on hundreds of different ways to get new leads. Now, if you're new to Mary Kay, ask your director for some training on it. It's pretty likely that she's got something recorded she could send you today on the topic. I know most recently Heidi Gelzer's E2E program, they did a whole training on it. For those of you that are not new to Mary Kay, I urge you to stop pretending not to know what to do when it comes to lead generating, okay? And for those of you that are new, simply ask your sales director or your recruiter or both for whatever training they have that they can give you on lead generating, because there is so much skin out there, you guys, and so many people that have no clue what products to be using, let alone gifting people. The supply is endless. So I'm going to leave you with some homework today, okay? I want you to schedule an hour or 2 with yourself to complete at least 1 bubble sheet in the next 48 hours. Did you hear that? Let me say it again. Schedule an hour or 2 with yourself to complete at least 1 full bubble sheet. And I urge you to do a bubble sheet for every goal that you have for the holidays. Do 1 bubble sheet to get class bookings right now. Get another bubble sheet done for Stop and Shops. How about another one just simply for sharing appointments to change people's lives this time of year? How about a bubble sheet for confirming people to attend your open house? There are endless possibilities of how to use the bubble sheet. And if you print the bubble sheet out from the link that Kristen will supply you with, from Mary Kay In Touch, okay? She'll supply you with a link, and she may have even posted that online somewhere. But anyway, when you print that out, the instructions on how to use it are so simple, and they're right on the sheet. But what I want to remind everybody is, it is not a completed yes or no until you've gotten a response. So if you leave a message and you have to call that person, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 more times to get a response, don't mark it as a yes or a no until you get the response. Stick with it, okay? And my friends, I just want to wish you the most successful holiday season ever because you were simply willing to ask just ask more than you have ever asked before to support you in all the various ways that we have discussed it. So please follow me on social media, you guys, Instagram, Facebook, and let me know your results. Communicate with me. Tell the world what has gone on, because you finally decided to take control of your results by taking control of the number of people you're willing to ask, and that you will use that magical tool of the bubble sheet. Have a blessed rest of your day. Happy holidays.